us too. I am Alina Lehikoinen, and this is my colleague Simone Massaro, who I'm very happy to work with. And we are here to talk about the Youth Forest Policy Days 2022. So what are the Youth Forest Policy Days? This is actually the first event of this kind that we have ever made. So IFSA is widening its repertoire, even though it says 2022. So we're marking that it's happening this year, maybe for the first time, maybe for the only time. The time will tell. But it's a 3-day online event where we are introducing youth to forest policy, with 1 day of workshop focusing on soft skills that are needed both in professional life and student life, 1 day of conference where we are actually talking about forest policy, and half a day of climate negotiation simulation where the participants will actually get to try the skills they're learning through this conference. It's aimed at youth, as we are already participating in a lot of policy events, but this is the only thing of its kind that is tailored specifically for youth that needs no prior knowledge. And it is co-organized by us, IFSA, as well as Forest Europe. And why are we making this? This is a large undertaking that we have done. And why are we going through all this effort then? Why is this so important? Well, we really want to raise the youth voice. We are already participating in a lot of policy processes. We are stakeholders there, we are observers, but we also want to be an active participant in shaping these policies. As forest policy impacts everyone, whether you will specialize in it or not, it is something that you will probably encounter in your work one way or another in the future. So it's important also to know what is it that you are working with. And we also want to inspire the next generation of young foresters to actually actively participate and shape the policy that we have.
So, you say this is for youth, by youth. As Alina was saying, this event is made for youth. It's not something like, if you go to conferences, it's full of conferences out there, but they are of course made for professionals, for people working in the sectors, for governments. And you go there as a youth delegate, and yes, it's amazing, you see a lot of stuff, but also you feel a bit excluded because it's not really for you. You have a lot of other stuff going on. They speak about super detailed stuff, imagining that you already have 5-year experience here. But we want to change this, and we want to make something that is approachable to youth, because we think that forestry policy is important, and it's often like, yes, it's complex because there are some stuff in complexity inside, but we want to make it accessible to everyone. So we want to have this accessible to everyone without any really prior knowledge. We want to bring forestry policy to the average forestry students so they can understand why policy is important, how they can impact the forestry sector, and make in a way that it works for them. Let's say the target audience is huge, but of course it's open to everyone. Anyone is welcome to join. And also, again, we are putting youth at the center of the discussion. It's not on the side, it's not just 5% that is there at the conference, it's the goal of the conference, at the center of the conference. So also the discussion, they are going to focus on the future, on the youth, and understand what's the youth involvement. And finally, it's also not just a bunch of kids in a room, I would say, but we are going to involve real experts, and so opportunities to talk with experts. So this is where you say, this is done for youth, by youth. We are all students that we are making this, and we want to make something that works for students.
So to alert you a little bit more to the event, I'm going to go through quickly what we have planned for each of the days. So we start with the workshop day, where we are focusing on soft skills. And the workshop sessions include things as event organizing, public speaking, and digitalization of the forest sector, as well as a living library where people tell their own stories. So people work as these books of the library. And then facilitate networking, as well as figuring out why networking is important, and then how to do it, and then actually doing it. Then we have the conference day, where we give background to the organizations and policy processes that we have on the field in a very approachable and easy manner in this field that includes way too many abbreviations. We give perspectives of different stakeholders, how they view the policies, how it impacts them, and they are speaking of their own experiences. Then we're talking about the implemented forest policy. How does it appear in forest management or restoration or deforestation, as well as, of course, remembering the role of youth in forest policy, what we're doing and what we can do. And then lastly, we're talking about how money affects the whole field of forest policy. Then the last half day that we have is to test the skills you have learned, soft skills as well as the actual policy that you have learned. So it is forest negotiation, climate negotiation simulation, where the participants play as stakeholder groups and try to negotiate an agreement that limits climate change to 2 degrees. So this is to model the different policy actions on climate change and see how it actually works.
So we want to also tell you a bit about the story of Yfpd, or at least the story so far, because we are here in IPSA and want to start a bit like how this whole idea started. As I said, it's something unusual. And this all started in October last year, when we were talking with Forest Europe, which is one important IPSA partner, and we were brainstorming our activities to do. And at some point, don't know how, somehow someone came up with this crazy idea, hey, what if we make a conference for youth in forestry policy? And we're like, yeah, that sounds amazing, but that's too much. That's something very big. Let's see, let's put it in a drawer. But then just a month after, we were like, maybe let's make it for real. And so we really started to plan it. And we started making our task force in IPSA to really work on it. We got in touch with Forest Europe. They say, okay, let's make this for real. And so we started making a conference. And then we had a workshop in the beginning of this year when we wanted to collect inputs from IPSA students, because we say we want to make something for youth, so we want to know what they want to know. So after that, we were able to draft our program, send out a ton of email, get in touch with speakers, and then it was time to share this with the world. So we're making our logos and social media material. And finally today, we are very, very happy that we are launching a final event. It's officially, it's shared with everyone. This is going to happen.
Thank you. No need to do that yet. We'll still have a few slides to go. But quickly, the organizers, you already know IPSA. We have an amazing team of 10 people, the task force there, as well as the Forest Europe that I have mentioned a few times already. And Forest Europe is this European-wide forest policy process with 45 signatories, and as well as the European Union, trying to find ways through policy on sustainable forest management. And then we also work closely with IUFRO, the International Union of Forest Research Organizations, as well as the Global Landscapes Forum, who are lending us their expertise.
So let's talk how to join this conference. The registrations are not open yet, but they're going to open on the 15th of September, so roughly a month. But you can stay up to date. So if you go on the website, you can see this form where you can put your email address. So we will sign up on the newsletter, and then you can start receiving emails about the event. So you will be the first to know when the registrations are open. And of course, this event is free to join for everyone. So yeah, that's easy. And the event date, just to recall, is going to be from the 1st to the 3rd of December. And the event is going to take usually from this 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. UTC+1, because we have to pick a time zone. So because like we started in this like the Central European time zone, but we're also planning in a way that you can join also at different times. All the events is going to be recorded. And also, for example, for the workshop, we're going to have workshops in the morning and afternoon. So you can join also from different time zones. And now is why to join. So why should you spend 3 days in front of your laptop to join this event? And so I think the first thing is that you can really learn skills that are outside of your curriculum, because this is something very different, because it's, in a way, yes, of course, university courses are for students, but this is really with the real world, with the real experts. And also there are these capacity building workshops, which are really focused on the really useful skills, which are very often not taught as much as they should. You can network with other students and professionals. Networking, I think, is something, in a way, so easy, but so amazing. So just connecting people together, this goes a lot. And you can find in the conference hundreds of other students that are similar interests of you, and you can just connect with them. The event is going to be online, but the networking part is really going to be put a focus on. It's going to be very easy to stay in touch during the event, to stay in touch after the event, but also with professionals. It's not only students. We really make sure that we also have early career professionals, so they can share their experience. But also, yeah, you have people that actually do forestry policy that can answer your question. And also, we want to do a bit like a real world forestry policy, because I feel like it's a sector with, say, a lot of words, but then you really need to understand what is actually happening on the ground, what you can do and what you can't. And yeah, hopefully you're going to be inspired and have new ideas. And finally, but not less important, is also we want to increase the youth involvement in forestry policy, because youth is a crucial stakeholder, but sometimes not very represented. And so we want to give some ideas, inspiration, how you can concretely involve in policy now as a youth and represent the next generation. Hope this list sounds exciting to you. Those are just some of the reasons why you should join, why you should say, okay, let's take a few days to do this. And yeah, there's this really nice quote: make sure that you're active and ready to shape your own future. Otherwise, the others will shape it for you, which I think is really summarize very well what we try to do here in IFSA. We try to do what we want to do. And summary again. So what are Yfpd? And we have this logo is very clear. We have youth, the first one, you see. And this is like this conference organized by Youth for Youth. We have forestry, so this introduction to forestry policy. We have policy, so it's an opportunity to get involved into policy and learn how to make a difference. And then finally, they, which in kind of this idea of the workshop as well, because it's not only about policy, but also these capacity building workshops. And I think this is all. We are all hoping to see you in December. And please take your phone, go to this QR code and see our amazing website and press that button, join our newsletter. Takes a few seconds, you can do it. And thanks a lot.
Thank you.